Hello, I'm Sarah Swenson, licensed mental health counselor. This brief YouTube video is an introduction to my course entitled Sorting It All Out, the Autistic and Neurotypical Worlds, which is designed for women whose partners are autistic. My goal is to help separate facts from fallacies as we look at both sides of the neurodiverse relationship, the neurotypical or non-autistic, as well as the autistic. In this course, we're going to explore the concept of neurodiversity, what it is, and what it means for you and your relationship. My purpose here is to increase your understanding of both perspectives, the neurotypical and that of your partner, in order to help you know why you feel and respond and react the way you do, and why he does and says the things that he does. In this way, you can begin to identify what can change and what can't. Every day, there's more and more information available regarding autism, although most published and online literature still pertains mostly to children. The other challenge when you're seeking guidance is that there are many accounts online that are personal experiences which are not informed by solid understanding of why there are challenges in the neurodiverse relationship. You already know what you're going through. My goal is not only to stand with you in empathy, but also to give you sound information that can help you move forward and relieve some of the stress you're experiencing right now. We live in a neurotypical world. Your expectations of how people behave, what they choose to do and choose not to do, what they say and what they mean, all of your expectations are based in assumptions that you hold, which are likely to be invisible to you. We're going to bring these assumptions to awareness in this course. This will help you understand yourself better before you begin to try to understand the autistic world, which we'll also explore. It's important to understand what it means to be neurotypical and how that contrasts to being autistic. It derives from the concept that human beings exist on a spectrum called neurodiversity. And within that full human spectrum, the majority of individuals are what we call neurotypical. The world is designed by and for neurotypical individuals. Neurotypical doesn't mean right. It's meant to describe 97% of the global population. It means that almost everything you see around you that's superimposed on the natural world was created by neurotypical people with the unstated assumption that it was also created to meet the needs of other neurotypical people. Notable exceptions include the very technologies that you and I are using to communicate at the moment, and the works of many great autistic artists, architects, surgeons, attorneys, actors, politicians, and engineers. But the social structure in which all of these achievements take place is created by neurotypical individuals and designed to accommodate and meet the needs of the neurotypical experience. This means there's so many things you take for granted, aspects of daily life that you don't talk about or think about and that you're possibly not aware of. The very first point we need to clarify is that autism is not mental illness. Autism spectrum disorder in the United States, or autism spectrum condition in the United Kingdom, is a diagnosis that describes differences in the physical structure of the brain that affect the way a person experiences and responds to the world, as distinguished from the brain of a person we call neurotypical. You can see these differences on a functional MRI, which is a kind of imaging that shows the way the brain responds in real time to various stimuli. If you watch an fMRI of an autistic person and a neurotypical person when they're offered the same stimuli, you'll see different parts of the brain light up to different degrees and at different times. It's important to remember this because it is the physical evidence that autism is not a choice. Remember that the world around is predominantly constructed by neurotypical individuals to meet the needs of neurotypical individuals. The autistic person in that 3% of the human population that's not considered neurotypical is therefore in a world not created to meet the different needs of someone who is autistic. It's pretty fundamental. Well, what does that mean? Well, for starters, it's often compared, as an example, to the experience of being a visitor in another country without benefit of guide, guidebook, language, or history, and no understanding of how the society works. If you've ever traveled to a country where the language roots are different from the roots of your own language, so that you can't even guess what's being said, you can imagine what it's like. And now imagine if you had a sense of urgency about understanding. That pressure can lead to anxiety and increased confusion, and it can make it less likely that you can figure out what's going on around you. Gradually, you'll feel more and more comfortable. You may get to understand customs, maybe speak the language, but it'll never quite feel like your own culture, and the language will never quite be like your native language. In times of stress, you're likely to revert to saying things in the language of your first home, for example, and this is how the autistic experience can be understood, generally speaking, by neurotypical individuals. This is a key point, though. Just as your country and the other country are equally important in their own right, and both have valid ways of doing things, so too are your neurotypical perspective and your partner's autistic perspective. They are different, and because he's being asked to inhabit your world, the neurotypical world, he's the one who's constantly having to be on the alert, always having to manage to be sure he gets things right. It's exhausting. And just as you become more overtly neurotypical when under stress or fatigued, so does he become more overtly autistic. By the end of this course, which runs a little over 3 hours and contains a great deal of information, you'll probably have a new perspective on your relationship. You'll also have some new tools available for working with your partner to improve mutual understanding. And of course, you may have more prop questions as well. I hope to offer you clear explanations. You don't need to have a clinical background or a background in psychology to understand and follow this course. It's designed to give you a basic education in the area of neurodiversity and primarily to help you understand what this means in your life. What are the implications of neurodiversity for your relationship and specifically for you? It can be transformative to gain a new understanding because it can lead to a new compassion for yourself as well as for your partner, and it can help you create new goals. Also, you can begin to recognize the possibility of becoming yourself again if you've been feeling lost and even separated from the young woman you once were. After this course, there's a series of other courses which address specific areas that may be of interest to you. Each is designed to support you, the neurotypical partner of someone who is or may be autistic. And if you're really not sure about your partner, there's a course designed to help you figure that out. Remember, though, that none of these courses can be diagnostic. They're designed to help you explore your relationship. If it makes sense to you to consider it in terms of neurodiversity, then you'll most likely find these courses helpful. As you no doubt know from talking to friends and possibly also to family, it's difficult to explain what you're going through and the confusion you feel and the unique position you're in. One of the main goals in this course is to provide you with language that you can use to guide your own discernment process and to help you understand more about what it is that differentiates your experience from that of your friends and family members who are hearing and trying to understand you in terms of their own expectations and assumptions. Of course, we'll start with definition of terms. This is of great importance as you'll see throughout our work together, and doing so will give you a template for later discussions with your partner. Before you begin the course, here are a few things I want you to know about what I'm thinking when I think of you. You may feel fragile. You may feel confused, even ambivalent. You may feel accustomed to being misunderstood. You may be struggling to make sense of your life. You may be fearful. You may feel isolated. You may be exhausted. And you may feel like giving up completely. You're not alone. I'm holding you in my heart as we begin and as we move through all the contents in this course. We won't be able to cover everything, but it will be a good start. Please visit the neurodiversecouple.thinkific.com for more details and to enroll in this and other courses for the neurotypical woman whose partner is or may be autistic.